AATBirds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need. All about the birds. It's all birds, all the time.
And welcome to a special edition of the AATBirds Weekly Report. Not joined by Matt. We are joined by sometimes guests, not all the time, Michael Bauer. Glad to have you back to talk some birds. It's been a while. So
I've been busy, been busting over at my pod. So yeah. Lots of work. Learning video editing currently, so it's taking up a lot of my time.
Very interesting. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Going to be quick show here. I just wanted to get through, which is pretty good. We're doing it because on Wednesday, Matt and I will be talking. The Eagles will most likely have made their cuts. The 53 will be basically started to be assembled, and then of course you'll have a lot of maneuvering and everything that goes along with that as they prepare for the Week 1 matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. But I want to talk quickly about the Eagles preseason game, and then we jump right into talking about Trader Howie and some moves he's making and what he's doing with the roster, which is pretty interesting that he's done today. We're recording on Sunday. This will drop on Monday morning. So the Eagles slipped past the Jets. It was a better game from the backups and the second and third teamers than we saw on the previous Saturday against the Browns, which unfortunately I was in attendance, so it was not a great matchup. Again, preseason games are for you to bring the kids, enjoy yourself, not worry about the game, and just enjoy the atmosphere. Yeah. And that's what we did. So, but Kyle McCord looked a little bit better. Now, as we get into what the Eagles did today, we know that both of these quarterbacks are gone. Well, one definitely is gone, as he had been waived in DTR, didn't even play in the game. McCord played the whole entire game. The one player that I've really enjoyed watching, and I've enjoyed watching him the last couple of games, it sucked that he got hurt early in preseason, is Montrell Johnson from Florida. Yeah. He was one of Matt's favorite players coming on the UDFA. My favorite player on UDFA, of course, has been well documented on here and on social media, has been Darius Cooper. He was the guy that I've been on since the start, and I've been right on that. But Montrell Johnson is just fun to watch. And the more and more I think about it, like, I think there's a way that the Eagles could go with just 5 receivers, 4 running backs, keeping Montrell Johnson, and 2 tight ends, then be able to make the roster work. Because if you let Montrell Johnson go on waivers, he's getting claimed. It's just my opinion, just the way he's playing and the way he looks. I think a team could claim him, especially a team that is riddled with injuries. San Francisco 49ers. I know they just got Brian Robinson, but there are teams out there that have been absolutely riddled with injuries. And I think, like, he's just a player that he has that NFL body. He really plays well. He played out of Florida. I know you probably know a little bit more with, I know with your draft prep and everything that in terms of him, but it was really awesome to see him. The other thing that I thought was great to see was the Jake Elliott over 50 yards, nailing these kicks and looking like the Jake Elliott we're accustomed to seeing. But those are a couple things. There wasn't too much in this game. APR had a sack, which was nice to see him off the edge. You didn't have too much. Of course, preseason P, basically what we want to call him, Patrick Johnson getting another sack. He always gets a sack in the preseason. It's just we've just become accustomed to that. Smile Mondin, I know he got hurt, which kind of sucked to see. I'm not sure why he was playing so much when he was, that 4th linebacker, and you signed a linebacker. I thought you'd be playing more people on that one. And the other thing, the last guy Jacorian Bennett, he's always sticky in coverage, and he was able to. Yeah, there were some catches that got had on him, but I thought he had a decent game as well. As I've been saying, like, I text back and forth with Matt that I had mentioned by week 3 or 4, I think Jacorian Bennett's going to be your CB2.
Agreed.
I think Adoree Jackson will start the year there. I had mentioned earlier in the training camp when we first started getting in the training camp, I said Keely Ringo just didn't. To me, I just didn't think he was going to win that job, and unfortunately, I don't believe that is the case. But it's kind of where we're at with this game, and then as we are going into the cuts.
And Keely Ringo's hurt right now, is he not? I believe.
So
hurt?
Yeah, I guess he has got a quad injury.
Okay.
I guess that's what they're saying. I don't know if it's just something they didn't want to risk it more, if they're potentially shopping him, because we don't know what the end of the cornerback depth's going to be. But
it's going to be interesting to see what they do here. I like the Bennett move. Thought it was good. A lot of people thought it was odd, but clearly if they had their guy in the building 100%, they wouldn't have made the move. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is not signing Isaiah Rodgers showed me that at the time the coaching staff had all the faith in the world in Keely Ringo. And now with preseason wrapping up and final coming down, letting Isaiah Rodgers go might have been the biggest mistake of the offseason, in my opinion.
So as we get into that, it's going to transition us over here to Eagles making some trades and talking about letting a guy go and reacquiring him. The Eagles made 3 trades today. I'll start with that one. They reacquired Fred Johnson, swing tackle, offensive lineman, which I thought was a great deal because Kendall Lamb has absolutely struggled and has not looked very good in the preseason, especially when you're getting absolutely annihilated by third-team players on the Jets like he was on Thursday night. And Miles Hinton is a developmental lineman. He shouldn't be that swing tackle. So he's got the tools and everything. He's got the bloodlines, as his dad was a former NFL player as well. So I just think adding Fred Johnson back is great. Unfortunately, he had to trade a 7th-round pick. Listen, Eagles had 13 draft. With the compensatory picks that aren't announced until after the season, essentially, you're going to have about 13 picks. Now it's going to be 12 with that trade. But they trade for him. They make their first trade of the morning on Sunday was for quarterback Sam Howell from the Minnesota Vikings. They got Sam Howell and a 6th-round pick next year for a 5th next year and a 7th in 2027. And this all brings us to the way Kyle McCord wasn't able to grab basically quarterback 3 job to make you okay to put him out there with Tanner McKee having a fractured thumb, which not sure when he's going to be available. He's not going to start the season on IR, they've been saying, so he may miss a game or 2. But you have a veteran in Sam Howell who started games in the NFL.
He's played well too, by the way,
especially against the Eagles. We know that very well.
Yep.
But when you look at getting him, and then when McKee's back, he's your QB3. You have depth there. You have a guy there, and I think that's great what they did along the lines of that. And then they make another trade recently, just before we came on here. They traded Darian Kennard, offensive tackle / guard. They traded him to the Green Bay Packers, and they acquired a 2027 6th-round pick, which 2027, they only had 6 picks, so now they add another one. They have 7 picks. Howie likes to maneuver, and don't be surprised if they do a couple more trades like that with Kennard and getting some guys or getting some late picks. But for them to add these guys, like, they know, and this just, to me, this tells me that they don't like the way the depth is towards the end of the roster, and if they can get better, they're going to, and that's what Howie's doing right now.
Yeah. I don't like moving Darian Kennard. I kind of had some high expectations for him, but if he was not looking like he was going to be part of the future plans, instead of cutting him and getting nothing, the fact that they got something back for him, I'm more than okay with that. Correct me if I'm wrong on this one. Kendall Lamb, did they not coax him away from retirement to sign him?
I know it was a late signing. So that very well possibly could be. And honestly, if he did retire, I wouldn't really put it against him, because the way he looked, he did not look anywhere near. I remember him as like a serviceable offensive tackle. And I think that's what they wanted to do when they added him. They tried to get a little bit cheaper because Fred Johnson signed a 1-year, $1.3 million deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they signed Kendall Lamb to the veteran minimum, which is a little bit less than that, to try to get somewhat the same productivity. And he just did not look right in the preseason at all. Just didn't look good at all. So that's just something that, especially when you have your bookends being Mailata and Lane, and if there's any case of anything happening, you want to have someone that could take over each spot. And Fred Johnson has been that the last couple of years. And listen, give credit to Stout, because Stout, he had a couple cups of coffee in the NFL and one with the Bengals and started some games, but Stout really took him under his wing and saw something in him, and it turned into a contract for him. And he gets traded back to the Eagles. So I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. But we know the way the roster is constructed, how he's going to keep maneuvering and eyeing what the best possible, as they like to say, 69 is, or the best 66. Because with the 53 and the best 69, it is 69, 16 plus 53. So the best 69 players, that's what they want to have on the roster. And I did this too. So so the picture on the screen is Perry Nickerson.
He made a case for himself, especially with that interception, which was one of the best plays I've seen of the entire preseason.
He is a 30-year-old. He was on the practice squad last year. He's a veteran. He knows Vic's defense. He played with him in Miami. He played with him here last year. I don't think he's going to make the roster, but he is a 100%. I'd bring him onto the practice squad because he can play inside, play outside. He's a veteran. I think it would be absolutely perfect for a guy like him to be on that. But he had a hell of a game, and I wanted to put him on there just because of that. Now, could there be more trades? I wouldn't put it past Howie. Like, we've seen this time and time again. I wouldn't put it past him to try and add like two positions that I really think about. Like, I'm not thinking too much of the cornerback position, because I think with them having Adoree, getting Jacorian Bennett, like, I don't think they're going to try and trade for another corner. I think like who's here is that's what, and Mac McWilliams has also played some outside, some inside. And then they've had Cooper play on the outside and base defense and different things and safety. So there's been different things with that, but two positions that I'm thinking of: edge rusher.
Yep.
If you can find an edge rusher, that's going to be a difference maker potentially. There's two names that I've been thinking about. One I saw today on X, and the other one I've kind of always thought about. And then the safety position. Don't know how bad Makuba's hurt. And Sidney Brown, like, if you could get a veteran that, like, not a guy that needs to be a big time starter, but a guy that you can put in at safety 3 or safety 4, like a guy that you can be comfortable with, because I just think they need to have depth there, because if any injuries, like, you're going to be in a little bit of a world of hurt, because I don't think you want to switch off and put Cooper at safety and moving him all around when he is, to me, he's so good at what he does. You don't want to be moving the defense around.
Yeah, I don't like the whole moving a player around. And Jeff Stoutland has said about the offensive line, when you move players around on the line, it weakens two positions. The same could be said about your defense too. Mm-hmm. I will say edge, I completely agree with on that one. Did Hendrickson ever sign with the Bengals? Is that still unresolved? It's
still unresolved. He is not signed. Neither has Micah Parsons. Those two guys. But
Micah Parsons is under contract. Hendrickson, is he under contract still? Or
he is, yeah, I believe he is. I think this is the last year of his deal.
All right, well, let's get one of those guys in here. That would be fantastic. I mean, if there's anyone that could, I'll take Hendrickson, because I think he might be a little bit more affordable than Parsons. Maybe I think Parsons going to want to break the bank. So, and I mean, Hendrickson, you're not going to get paid by the Bengals. They do not pay defensive players, even though that's what they need the most.
They don't pay really anybody. It's like they
Joe
broke
Burrow
the mold
Jamar
by
Chase.
paying, and T. Higgins. They broke the mold by doing what they did with them, with the guarantee and everything that they did there. Yeah. But two players that I'm thinking of, and it is neither of the guys that you mentioned, because those are kind of the guys that you're always hearing. So two guys that I like. One is probably you're not getting them. There's nothing. Is Trevon Walker. Of course, Georgia Bulldog, former number 1 pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They don't have much depth in terms of youth. They've got some veterans behind them, but Um, he'd be like my dream in terms of having him because he's done really well. The other guy that I've been thinking about, he's only 26 years old, is Keon White from the New England Patriots.
Okay.
Like he's a big guy, 6'5", 285, but I feel like he could be in that role that you had Brandon Graham last year. On the outside, he can rush from the inside. He's got the build to him. And like with him, like in 2023, I remember the first game of the season when the Eagles played the Patriots. I believe he had, I don't know if he had a sack, but he was a lot of pressures. His name was always being mentioned. And he was off the edge. And I don't know, I just feel like he's not going to cost you that much, one. Two, no, he did not have a sack. So I was mistaken there. He just had pass defense and some pressures. Josh Uche did have a sack that game. But I just think he'd be a good option because he can do a couple of different roles for you. He's still young. He's still 2 years left on his rookie deal. I think it would be a perfect Howie type of trade. But those are two guys that I've kind of thought of. One seeing on X, and the other one kind of in the back of my mind for a little bit of time now.
I do. Can I go back real quick and just talk about Kyle McCord? We talked about him a little bit.
Yeah, you can talk about it.
I thought he played pretty well given the circumstances he was playing with. We figured we're not seeing wasn't a good thing, which is a shame because when he came out from UCLA, I was like, oh, this guy would be a great backup for Jalen Hurts, kind of a similar play style. And then you see him play and you're like, well, I was wrong about that one. I thought McCord played pretty decently, except for the interception play. He just locked on to Darius Cooper and let it rip when I believe it was John Mechie was wide open underneath. It would have been just a simple, not quite a check down, a little bit of a mid-range pass that would have moved the chains most likely. And by the way, I liked what I saw from John Mechie. Mm-hmm. The reality of the situation is you're probably not going to re-sign Jahan Dotson after this year. I think John Mechie, given that he hasn't produced in the NFL, obviously leukemia his rookie year, and then just the Houston Texans keep bringing in these other wide receivers, I think you could probably re-sign Mechie a little bit cheaper. We have to think about this too. Think about this, okay? Hear me out. If we have a game this year where both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are out, do you feel better having Jahan Dotson and a lot of question marks out there, or Jahan Dotson and John Mechie out there as your two starting wide receivers?
Listen, they also
feel a lot better with Mechie out there.
Yeah, they also have Darius Cooper.
Yeah, but look, Darius Cooper, he didn't play big-time college ball. He's looked good, but it is preseason. I do think that he's played well enough where they cannot release him and try to sneak him through.
No, you're not releasing him and sneaking him through. Like, I think a guy you could do is like Anais Smith you could release, and I believe you probably could get him on the practice squad.
And Johnny Wilson's out for the year, so we know obviously that I hate that he got hurt. But at the same point in time, you can't keep a wide receiver around because he's a good blocker.
Okay, so let me give you this scenario here. So this is my receivers for my final 53. This is so of course you got AJ and Devontae.
Yeah.
Okay. You have Dotson.
Mm-hmm.
You have Mechie. You have Darius Cooper.
Yeah.
I'm keeping only 5. Okay.
I'm okay with that.
And this is my reasoning for it. If Anais Smith isn't claimed, he can go on the practice squad. But I also want to sign Zach Pascal for the practice squad. Potentially, after week 1, you can elevate him to the active roster and have him as that Johnny Wilson role of that blocking wide receiver that, of course, we know Sirianni likes. And Pascal knows the system. He was here in 2022. He knows Sirianni. He knows the coaching staff. So some of the coaching staff. But I'd bring him back because he gives you – and he plays special teams. So that's another key role there. And again, that's also a reason that I think Darius Cooper stays is because he's been playing gunner. He's been playing special teams. He plays kick returner. He's been playing all those roles that Anais Smith does not. So I think – and the only reason I'm keeping 5 is what I mentioned earlier is the Montrell Johnson staying on the 53 and not exposing him into waivers. So instead of getting that 6th receiver, I'm getting a 4th running back. So that's where I place those two things.
And it's funny, you're talking about Darius Cooper playing. You said he does some returning as well. Remember, they signed Avery Williams early in this
Yeah.
offseason. I can't say that I've seen him do anything or heard about him doing anything.
All I do need know is when he leaves, because he's going to be cut, he needs to relinquish that number 18 to Darius Cooper. I think that would be a nice number for him, not 41.
Yeah, you can't
As
be
a
rolling
receiver.
out there with 41 if you're a wide out. But
Yeah.
a guy I was excited about was Terrace Marshall.
I can see him on
When,
the practice squad too,
yeah,
potentially.
when they brought him in, I mean, former second rounder out of LSU, he had some hype coming in. He
He
had the
got hurt too in camp.
unfortunate circumstance of getting drafted by the Carolina Panthers. I could see him being a good practice squad guy, like you said, a good call up. And look, the fact of the matter is, you say, oh, practice squad, whatever. Some guys in the practice squad last year, Paris Campbell came up, played some important roles for this team. Didn't they have John Ross on the practice squad for a little bit too?
Yeah. Well, I believe in that Tampa game when, of course, we had no AJ and no Devontae because Devontae would get hurt in New Orleans.
That's when John Mechie comes in important here. Like I said,
Yeah, because you rolled out, of course, Dotson. Now this is week 4 of last year, I believe.
Yeah.
So, he wasn't with the team all preseason. He got late into the preseason, so he's rolling out as the starter. And you have Johnny Wilson, and you have Paris Campbell, and you have John Ross, and we know how that game went. It was not very good.
No,
Just
it's gross.
to say the least, it was pretty bad.
Maybe we'll see some 4 wide receiver sets this year too.
The other thing too with John Mechie is next year he is a restricted free agent. With him missing the whole rookie year, he is not eligible to be a UFA. He on over the cap, he is an RFA. So that also comes into play of keeping him a little bit cheaper than you would be able to if he was a UFA. So if he's a restricted free agent, you could tender him and keep him at a lower number. So that's another thing to think about when you look at him as well. Looking at basically the roster, and you're looking at the final 53. So you're looking at the Eagles and what they're going to do with their roster come the 53-man roster here. And of course, with the Sam Howell addition, they're keeping 3 quarterbacks. There was some thought that they were just going to keep 2, and then of course, McCord on the practice squad and everything. But with McKee injured, you've got to keep Howell on the active roster. Of course, you're not going to. You just traded for him, so he's not going to be gone. But so that comes into play there. We know who the specialists are going to be. You're going to have Hewlett as a long snapper and Braden Mann and Jake Elliott. That's easy. I'd mentioned receivers already, and I mentioned tight ends. I'd like to see if Kylan Granson stay on the 53, but I think they just keep 2 tight ends and maybe add EJ Jenkins on the practice squad, or maybe try and sneak Granson on the practice squad.
Yeah, you might be able to. And if it has to come down and you lose Granson and you get EJ Jenkins as your third, so be it.
Yeah. And again, you also, I believe, have BVS, Ben Van Sumeren. He'll be your fullback. So he's going to be on the 53 as well. He could play that H-back role.
He could.
And, and he plays special teams, of course. We know that. The running backs, of course, Saquon, Will Shipley, and A.J. Dillon. And then I have Montrell Johnson as my 4th. Looking at the offensive line, I'd say 10 guys. Usually they keep around 10 guys. And, of course, you have the normal starters. I don't believe Landon's going to start the year on IR. I think if he doesn't play the first couple weeks, he'll be back by week 3. Week 4 at the latest. So
the way this guy is, I could almost see him playing week 1.
Yeah. Listen, I wouldn't put it past him. But, when you look at Mailata and Dickerson, Juergen, Steen is the right guard. We know that from seeing it all camp. And Lane Johnson. Those are your 5. Yeah. And then, of course, you traded for Fred Johnson, so he's the 6th guy. Looks like Matt Pryor made it as your rotating guard. Oh. And then, of course, Drew Kendall is your center. Basically, what's going to be interesting now is those last few spots, those last 2 spots. Brett Toth, they've given all the opportunities. I don't think he's an NFL roster player. He's fine on the practice squad, whatever it may be there. I
think Kenyon Green gets cut.
I think Kenyon Green gets cut. He's been disappointing because I think they want to keep these rookies. Now Cameron Williams may be that phantom IR. I could definitely see him do that. Miles Hinton I think he's going to make the roster. But he's 1 spot open for who? So Trevor Keegan, Brett Toth, and Kenyon Green.
I think it's Trevor Keegan because Toth hasn't shown you what you want to see from him, and Kenyon Green just doesn't.
And Keegan's been playing some. He played a little center. They've been trying to move him around a little bit, do some different things. And listen, he was a 5th round draft pick, so I think they keep him. And I think they do it for a reason that they let Toth go. He's easily going to be back on the practice squad for you.
Yeah.
If you let Keegan go, there's a small he may also go through waivers unclaimed too, but there's a small chance he may not because he is a 5th round pick from last year. He's still a young guy. So it's going to be interesting to see. And the one cool little tidbit, that little fun fact for you in regards to Matt Pryor is they drafted him in 2018.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's making the 53. So they drafted him in 2018. He was on the bench. I'm not sure if he was active or inactive or whatever it may be, but he was on the bench for their banner drop against the Atlanta Falcons. And he signed this offseason, and potentially on the bench or active or whatever it may be, he'll be watching the banner drop again. Not a part of any of those teams, but seeing the banner drop the night one. It's just interesting because I wonder how many players, if you really think about it, and it's for the same team, seeing a banner drop and not being a part of the team prior. And it was twice on the Eagles. It's a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah.
A little unlucky, actually.
Let's see here. I'm looking up Matt Pryor stats here. So
he had a lot of snaps last year in Chicago.
Yeah. From what I'm seeing here, this is on PFF. Some people don't like PFF, but they're pretty good. Pretty average run blocker. Let's see how he is as pass blocker. Much better pass blocker than a run blocker. I can tell you that. But that's okay. 1 weak link on the line. This line can overcome it if it would happen to be Matt Pryor filling in for Landon Dickerson.
Yeah.
So, but we have to consider it too. We're saying all these things. We still don't know what Kevin Tula is like as a play caller. They run a vanilla offense in preseason. They don't want to show anything. Competitive advantage, understood. But I'm still more confident than when Brian Johnson, whoever, I'm trying to erase him from my memory, took over for Shane Steichen. And I think a lot of Eagles fans are kind of pumping the brakes a little bit, taking a we'll see approach. But I'm still more confident in him than Brian Johnson, to say the least.
Yeah. He's been with the team since Sirianni came to be the Eagles head coach in 2021. So he's been in that organization. He's been around the players who have been there since then for a while. So there's some familiarity there. Now, when you look at the defensive side of the ball, of course, I think the Kobe Dean starts the year on the pup list. So that kind of just start with that.
He's going to have to, yeah.
When you look at, of course, the linebackers, Bond, Jahad Campbell, Trotter Jr.'s look good too. He's looked like he's starting to evolve, year by year goes around.
He could play in this league, man.
Smile Mondin, I think, looks really good too. Hopefully the injury he had was just a stinger, nothing too, too terrible. Hopefully it's not anything worse than that. I also love the neck roll.
That is pretty cool.
You have a linebacker wearing a neck roll like that. Like, come on. The vibes there is just the aesthetics, if you want to call it. Looking at the defensive line, Jalen Carter, the interior defensive line, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo. I'm really excited to see Moro Jomo get extended playing time now.
Me too.
Just kind of, he showed a little bit, and they said in camp he's been so active. It's going to be interesting. Of course, Ty Robinson, the 4th-round pick, is going to make the team. It's going to be interesting the last couple spots, what they do, because Gabe Hall has flashed. Byron Young also has flashed. He's looked pretty decent in the last couple of games, especially against the Jets. I saw him flashing across the screen there. So I like to see. And then also Jacob Sykes, I thought he had a couple nice plays during the preseason here. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I think they try and get Sykes on the practice squad. Yeah. And then of course you have Young, Robinson, Hall, Carter, Davis, Ojomo. Those are the guys I think there. Then when you look at the edge rushers, this is where I think it gets. I think this in corner, I would say, is the most interesting when you take a look at what they have here. So Nolan Smith, Jalex Hunt, Ojulari, he had a nice sack against the Browns. He's struggled here and there, but I think he's a guy that I think they're going to keep. Josh Uche, I believe he's another guy that's looked pretty good, so I think keep him too. It's going to be interesting. The end of it here is what's going to be interesting for them is who do they keep? Because, Antoine Powell-Ryland is a 6th-round pick. He had a nice rush, a nice sack fumble against the Jets. But then you have Patrick Johnson, Obo Okoronkwo, who I thought Okoronkwo's the last 2 games has looked pretty good, especially off the edge. He's got that speed right off the edge. It's going to be interesting with those 3 guys. I think only one of those 3 guys are going to be on the roster. And who do you want to have on that? And that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Probably Patrick Johnson right now will give you more than a guy like Antoine Powell-Ryland. I think you could probably sneak Powell-Ryland onto the practice squad. And Patrick Johnson, he plays special teams, come off the bench in a pinch. Not the most productive in game as far as the defensive end, but you also need guys on this team that can play special teams. That's important too.
And, when you look at it too, Howie likes to do the roster juggling. He likes to do the maneuvering with guys like a Patrick Johnson is not subject to waivers. He is a vested veteran, so he goes right to free agency. So if you have a deal with him saying, hey, we're going to put you right on the practice squad. You're going to play week 1. We're going to call you up. There's certain things that Howie does. And, we'll see what happens with that. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes another team will come with an offer for be on the 53. And of course, you'd be stupid not to take that because one, the money's more than if you're on the practice squad. So there's all that comes into play, but that's going to be interesting. And that's where I think a trade potentially you could see as well, because when you look at the pass rush group, the edge rushers like Nolan Smith and Jalex Hunt, and there's no real proven veteran. Like Uche had 1 good year in 22 and struggled recently. Ojulari has been hurt a lot of the time when he's playing. He's productive, but he's not on the field enough. So it's a big time question mark, and that's where I could see a veteran be added. But when you look at the corner position here, of course you have Q and Cooper and Jacorian Bennett, Dory Jackson. I don't think Ringo makes team. I think they trade him. I think they trade him for a mid-round pick either next year or the following year, or maybe they do a player-for-player swap if they get another younger player. I don't know. I just don't think he's going to be on the roster. And that's where I think a guy like Eli Ricks may get that last spot. But again, I don't know. They may claim a young corner off waivers or a team who waives someone. So it's going to be interesting. And same thing with the safety position. Like when I look at the safeties, like to me, Reed, Sidney, and Makuba, the other guys, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept 3 safeties and they would call a safety up from the practice squad, save a roster spot for another position they want to be heavy at.
Yeah, we've seen good things. Vic seems to like Tristan McCollum a lot for whatever reason. Andre Sam has made some plays. I don't see Lewis Seen listed on here anywhere.
He was waived today after the trade. Waived injured. So I don't know if he's reverting to IR.
I saw him limping around a lot at the end of that game. So it's a shame for him. It was a first-round pick of the Vikings.
First-round pick, yeah.
It just might not happen for him, unfortunately, at this point in his career.
But it's going to be interesting how they maneuver the roster. And, of course, Mac McWilliams, I didn't mention him in the corner position as well. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do, because if they go ahead and they potentially trade Ringo and maybe they keep Eli Ricks or they trade both of those guys, like we were mentioning, there's a small shot. Maybe Perry Nickerson makes the 53. I don't think he does. I think he's going to be a practice squad guy, but he did make some plays and, he was active. So, we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. I always love this time of the year with all the movement, all the trades, all the, the 53-man roster and everything. And then Wednesday, Matt and I will go over all the 53-man roster, plus the 16 practice squad members will be finalized Wednesday. So we'll be able to dive into all of that, get that all situated, and see where they stand as they go and get ready for the Dallas Cowboys, defending Super Bowl champs versus those wannabe NFC championship, trying to get to that game they haven't been to in 29 years. So rivalry, always good to start out. We'll see all the news that comes out with them and who's going to be, playing, what's going on with their pass rusher. So there's a lot to get into when we get into that week after Wednesday's show as we dive into game time. It's fun. Love this time of the year. Weather's getting cooler, less humid. It's, wake up and it's 58, 57, 58 degrees. It's cool out. It's just like, got to start seeing these leaves start changing. Can't wait for it.
What's it going to be tomorrow morning when I leave for work? It's going to be 65. I could deal with that.
It's going to get lower as the days go by. It's going to be in the probably lower 50s, mid 50s, low 50s. So it'll be chilly.
Sign me up for all of that. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see how this this roster kind of takes shape here. I think we're always going to get that one big surprise cut.
Listen, I was surprised by 3 trades today. So we can't.
Yeah, and look, the fact of the matter is between now and I think it's 4:00 on Tuesday is the deadline for cuts.
I believe so. Yeah.
Don't be surprised if Howie makes another move and maybe one that surprises people. He might take a big swing here.
Yeah, cannot put it past him to do something, especially when he has a potential 12 draft picks next year. Like, they're not taking 12 players. No. Like, it's just not going to happen. Now, I know all of those picks, as I mentioned earlier, they don't have essentially in their pocket to use, but they could use a 3rd-round pick knowing they're getting a compensatory 3rd-round pick. So, listen, the sky's the limit for them to add a young player to make sure the depth is good. And again, that's what Howie says. They're always looking. They're always making sure they can get the team better. And that's what they've been doing. And that's what they did today. They made their depth better by adding Howell and Fred Johnson and then Dealing Kennard. So we'll see where everything lands in terms of the 53-man roster. But with that, as I want to thank you, Mike, for joining us as I always do every time. Fun chatting the birds with you. But as we always end it with 2 very special words. Go Birds. Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.